Monday, January 12th, and I am on my way to Customs Canada or Canadian Border Services, I guess, to try and see if I can spring my car out of jail. So I have 2 inches thick of paperwork. Everything that was on their website that might be necessary, I've brought everything and then some. But we're talking a government agency and we're talking Customs Canada, so who knows if I actually have everything that I need. I hope I do, because the plan is go to Customs. I have no idea how long this is going to take. There's no appointment. You just show up and you wait. Go figure. And at some point today, I hope they're going to release my car. They don't have my car, but give me the documentation and the stamps that I need to go pick up my car. Then I have to go to an insurance broker, buy a month's worth of insurance, which is the minimum amount of insurance that you can buy. At least that's what I understand. And then go to the storage facility for the shipping company and pick up my car, which is in a totally different part of Vancouver. And hopefully at the end of today, I will be in possession of my car, fully licensed and insured, so that I can drive it back to my mom's and then spend the week trying to put it on Auto Trader and trying to get dealers to bid on it and sell it, or privately sold, however that works. So fingers crossed I get over the first hurdle, which is springing my car from Customs. Talk to you soon. Hello everyone and welcome to the For Fun of Knit podcast. My name is Linda and I'm coming to you from the sunny southeast of Ireland. In July of 2025, my husband Patrick and I moved from Canada, Vancouver, British Columbia to be exact, all the way to the Wexford County area. County Wexford, I guess. Anyway, thank you for joining me. If you are a returning viewer, hello. So fun to see you all again or be chatting with you. And if you are new, thank you for taking the time to give my channel a shot. And I do appreciate there are so many podcasters out there that you can be spending your time with. So I'm honored that all of you new viewers and existing followers, you actually are finding time in your day to spend a little time with me. Anyway, today it is Monday, January 19th. I am back from Vancouver again. So yes, I went just for 1 week to Vancouver and I will recap that visit at the end of this podcast. But I am happy to say that travel is over for at least the next 3 months. So I can get a little bit grounded here at home in Ireland. Anyway, before we continue on with today's agenda, my agenda includes covering off some of the comments from the last 2 videos. So thank you for all of you that did leave those comments. That was so much fun and so wonderful. And then I'm going to go over my finished objects, which I have a few of them. And I'm also going to recap the remaining whips that I have. So just a recap of them, along with a prioritization for the next ones that I'm going to work on, and finishing off with what is next on my needles. And you're going to want to stay tuned for that because you better be sitting down when I talk to you about that. Okay, so just without further ado, let me wrap up the last 2 videos with some of the comments that you left. So first and foremost, thank you so much for your thoughtful and sincere comments regarding my sister Clasina. She's doing really well. I have passed them all on to her. She does read the comments on the podcast as well. She just doesn't have any way to answer. But from her to you, a huge thank you for all the lovely comments and the support that she's getting through you. So thank you very much. And she's doing really well. So all good there. I had a question from somebody regarding the Nord socks. So the Nancy Wheeler Nord socks, were they beginner friendly? I would say yes, because I'm the type of person who probably doesn't ever look to whether a pattern is a beginner or not. I just look at a pattern, and even when I first started knitting in 2017-18, I just looked at a pattern and went, oh, I like that, and I would give it a try. That said, socks are a little bit more challenging than, say, a hat, because you're using much smaller needles potentially. So if you're comfortable using a very small needle, like a 2.25 or 2.5 millimeter needle, I think that's 1.5, 2 US, then yes, these are beginner friendly, because all of her socks are beginner friendly. These ones even more beginner friendly because they're DK socks, and I think it's a 2.75 or a 3 millimeter needle, if I'm not mistaken. So needle size is a little bit bigger than a regular sock. And two, and probably the biggest reason I would say that these socks are beginner friendly, is because Nancy Wheeler does such a great job in explaining all her steps. Her pattern write-up is so clear. Her charts are very clear. There isn't too much going on in these socks. It's a couple of cables on the front and a little detail in the back. So I'm going to say, yes, these are beginner friendly if you want to give cables on a sock a try, and they're DK weight, so can't go wrong. She has it in both a fingering weight and a DK weight. The socks that I showed were a DK weight. So I also want to follow up with Lisa, left a comment of well wishes and identified that she was moving from, she had moved from Victoria to Saskatchewan. And Lisa, I'm sorry, reread my message. I edited it, my response. I read it the other way around, because I hate to say it, most folks go from the cold, usually central or eastern Canada, and move to Victoria because it's warmer. It's a nice place to retire. You, however, did it the other way around. I do believe you moved to Saskatchewan. So I'm so sorry. So please reread that comment. Christine, you comment about you are doing your very first granny square join as you go blanket. And I love that comment, because while I'm still a novice crocheter, and I am doing a join as you go knitting my mitered square Christmas blanket, I've never done crochet as you go granny square. So what I would love to hear is what videos, if any, you use to help you along. So did you find any YouTube videos that you used that helped you manage that process? I would love to know. Burnbee and Wendy, the two of you. How many whips do you really have? I think both of you commented on, oh, my 14 doesn't really sound that was so many. So I really want to know from you how many whips you actually have on the go. And Wendy, you also mentioned you were watching, it was called Soxy Nana Alice, who had mentioned that she was doing this 12 cast-ons. And funny that you mentioned that in your comment, because concurrently I was watching Jen from Stash Down Diaries. I follow her. She is out of Cape Breton, I do believe, Nova Scotia. I follow Stash Down Diaries, Jen, and she was talking about the 12 days of cast on that she started doing in the last couple of years. And she had gotten on the idea from Ange of Yarn and Yarns. So I guess she is sort of the founder of the 12 days of cast on. And she's been doing it since, I don't know, way back when, 2017 or something. And literally what that program is, if none of you have heard of that, it's basically from Christmas Eve to the Epiphany, January 6th, you actually cast on a new cast on every day for 12 days. That blew my mind. And I just wanted to say thank you for raising that, because foreshadowing, I will talk a little bit more about that a little later on today. Then I really wanted to thank Kathy. Kathy, you know who you are. You've been a follower for a long time, so thank you for that. But everything that I do on this channel is for the fun of knit, and you are embracing that. And I loved your definition of what that meant for you. No stress, no perfection, no overthinking it, no high expectations, just for the fun of knit. And yes, that is exactly why I have this channel, just for the fun of knit. I am not a business. I don't sell anything. I'm not supported. I haven't monetized my channel because I just want it to always be for the fun of it. Never an obligation, never a have to do, just for the fun of it. So thank you for putting that down. Both Annabelle and Joan had a great idea regarding my whips, especially my two garlands, my Christmas tree garland and my mitten whip, my smitten mitten. They said, Linda, combine the two and then you're done. And I gave that serious thought. And you know what? That's exactly what I'm going to do. Of my 14/16 whips, because I actually had 16, not 14 whips, I am going to combine those two, just finish off the one and call it a day. So thank you for that idea. Ruth, you commented about still searching for the perfect fit sock, vanilla sock, and I 100% agree with you. I am always on the hunt for the best fit. And two ideas actually that have come to me. One came to me through Nitty Natty. She has been working on socks lately, and her preferred sock as of late is the Vanilla is the New Black by Anna Fletcher. And it has a different heel configuration that I want to try. So she says it's a very roomy heel, so I haven't tried that one, but Vanilla is the New Black is one of the socks I'm going to start. That it's a vanilla sock pattern with a new heel. And the other one I want to always refer to is Nancy Wheeler. So Nancy Wheeler always talks about not having enough room in the heel because she's got that wide instep / bigger heel. I'm the same way. And so what she does is she does do an afterthought heel, but she does short rows. So she cuts for the afterthought heel, but before she starts doing a few rounds and then starting the actual afterthought heel, she actually does short rows on both corners just to give the sock a little bit more room in that area. And I thought that was a brilliant idea. For my afterthought heels, have always done 6 rows of knitting and then started the decreases for the heel, which to Nancy's point is just a toe. You're actually just knitting a toe on the heel. But she actually does these short rows to give, the V part a little bit more breathing room. And I can't wait for her to write that down in a pattern. I'm going to try it on my own, but she is going to write that up in a pattern. So if this is something that you're struggling with and you're not a super confident sock knitter, stay tuned for her pattern regarding that. I think that's going to be fabulous. So thank you again, everyone, for all the comments. Greatly appreciated. I just love, love, love. Big hug to you all. Love it so much. Hello, I'm just popping in because I cannot believe I forgot yet again to cover off the letters and the word puzzle that was given out during the TOFT 2025 Advent. So I'm going to pop a picture up here of all of the letters by the day that they came out. So there was COUNTIN, hence we kept guessing, is the word counting down to Christmas, counting sheep, whatever that turned out to be. But then the next letters were WEPRETHAME, ASEA, capital O, ... question mark. So we had to decipher that. And what it turns out to be is, once upon a time, there was ... question mark, a boy, a puppet, half boy, a donkey. So that is the mystery solved, and I'm glad I didn't forget to put this piece in, but I almost did. So now we can close out TOFT Advent 2025. So on that note, let's talk about my finished objects. So first finished object, I didn't show this last time, but this is my baker's hat that I knit using, and I talked about it before, I don't have much of any of it left. I was using one Ancient Art DK yarn, and I can't remember the other. This was an Ancient Art, and I think it's Midnight Clear, something Midnight. And then this variegated, beautiful, I think it's also an Ancient Art. I think they were both Socknado. No, it's DK, so it can't be Socknado. Don't remember, but put those two together and ended up with this very pretty variegated hat with, I also held it with Knitting for Olive navy blue, a silk mohair. And this is a great hat pattern. You do a whole bunch of 1x1 rib, then you purl a row or knit a row, and that's the flip over point. And that one row of just knitting, breaking up the ribbing, holds your rib, your cuff nicely. And then it's just stockinette, but can you see the decreases? You get this star pattern with a circle in the middle. Now, the first time I did it, I did the decreases way too fast and it turned out to be totally boxy. This is much more rounded. It is not blocked yet, but you can see that it does have sort of, the very sharp sort of edge when it's unblocked. That will round out once it's blocked. I have not blocked it yet, but I love this hat. This would fit a very large head. It is loose on me, but comfortable. Like, it's not going to fall off, but it has a lot of give. So it's going to fit pretty much everybody in your family. I can't remember if there's more sizes than one. If there is more than one size, I'll have to check it. I can't remember, but I knit the medium. So I will put something down here just to confirm how many sizes it comes in and which size I actually ended up knitting. So there you go. That's that. That's my baker's hat. Love that. Then, this is a funny story. The second finished object I completed was the 2 at a time fingerless mitts. Now, love these. This pattern is very similar to the Everything November mitts, which is designed for a fingering weight yarn. This is designed for a worsted weight, and I held, of course, the DK along with mohair. I held the Knitting for Olive silk mohair in the navy color along with my DK yarns. And I was doing helical knitting throughout. So I was alternating between a solid navy blue and a variegated navy blue. Both are from Ancient Arts, and I don't remember the colorways because I don't have the tags anymore. So I apologize for that, but they're DK weight, 100% merino. And I was alternating them all the way through. So you cannot see at all that there is any change in the yarns. Helical knitting is brilliant, and it works very well when you're doing ribbing. So if you're worried about helical knitting in a pattern, I would say helical knitting is great for stockinette and ribbed patterns. That's it. I would not do lace work do helical knitting in lace work. I think you mess yourself up, but it works really well for ribbing. Now, the size that I knit was the medium, and I cast on 32 stitches for the wrists. Should have been 36. I didn't read the pattern properly. I should have cast on 36. I cast on 32. And that worked out really well for my wrist. I'm very comfortable with the, it's not a snug fit. It just lays on my skin. It's quite nice. And then when it came to do the gusset, I increased 4 stitches right where I was going to do the thumb gusset. And then I knit an extra round, and then I started my increases for the thumb gusset as to pattern. So my actual, from the thumb gusset on, is 36 stitches. Now funny, that works really well through the palm of my hand, like the bulk of my hand where you get the gusset. But I feel that I could have decreased back to 32 for the top, because I seem to have quite a lot of room. I don't know. So I feel that somehow 36 is the right stitch count for when you're doing the thumb gusset. But when it comes to here, I should have decreased back down to 32. Now that's not the pattern. The pattern says continue 36 all the way. And everybody's hands are different, but for me, I must be narrower in this section and wide, just like my feet, wide heels, you know. So I think I could have gone back down to 32. So next time I make these, and I will make these again, this is a free pattern, and it is a great pattern. The pattern itself doesn't actually knit the thumb. So rather than cast off the thumb stitches, I put them on hold. And the pattern also only basically covers your palm and leaves your fingers completely bare. So just keep that in mind. If you're looking at the pattern, you might need some extra yarn compared to what it called for. I don't know exactly how much I used because I didn't weigh it, but from the 2 skeins of DK and I'm going to say 1.5 skeins of mohair, I was able to do a complete hat with a brim and a set of mitts. And I still have a little bit left over. Not enough to do anything necessarily, but I still have some left over. I have half a skein of knitting for olive left over, and I probably have about 10 grams of the DK each left over. So a huge success. Those were my first 2 finished objects. So of my 16 whips, and yes, I actually had 16 to start, if you include the baker's hat, down to 14. Yay. My next finished object, where did I put it? My next finished object, excuse me, is my mulled wine socks. So this sock yarn is West Yorkshire Spinners, their seasonal colorway called Mulled Wine. And I have, I think, all of them now, and they're all a stellina base, which is lovely. It's very festive. And I just did my very simple 3x1 ribbed sock. This one I knit toe up, and I ended up doing a German, what is it called? No, it's called the short row. I always get this wrong. I can never remember the name of the heel. I'll put it down at the bottom. It always gets me. Short row German, no, short row. Anyway, doesn't matter. That's what I did. But for me, for these socks, whenever I do this heel, in order for me to have enough space between the heel and the top of my foot, just once I have separated, I do my magic loop. I have separated, so I do the heels magic loop. Let me correct myself. I did the toe magic loop, then I switched to a 9-inch circular on a 2.25 millimeter. And then when it came to do the heel, I put my stitches back on magic loop. So I had half of the stitches on one needle and half of the stitches on another needle. So the stitches that I'm using for the actual heel, I end up, when I go to start my heel, I add 6 stitches in, increase in 6 stitches on that needle. And then I actually start the short row heel. So when it comes back down to, when you're coming back down and decreasing, I end up with too many stitches, 6 more stitches on the leg, but I do about 3 or 4 rounds where I decrease those stitches back down to the normal 32, because I do a 64 stitch sock. So I have 32 stitches on the front needle and 32 stitches on the back needle. Once I'm about to start for the heel, I increase 6 stitches, do the heel increases, then do the decreases. Once I'm joining everything up again, I knit about 3 to 4 extra rows where I decrease those stitches. Decrease 2 stitches, oh, I must do 6 rows. Decrease 2 stitches, knit around, decrease 2 stitches, knit around, decrease 2 stitches. And then the rest of my leg turns out to be the full 64 stitches again. Hope that makes sense. But that is finished object number 3. Finished object number 4 are my Sweet Skein of Mine sock yarn, the Hip Hop Happy colorway, I think it was, or Hop Happy, I can't remember. But this is from Sweet Skein of Mine, and I love, love, love this colorway. These were top-down socks. The cuff I just did in an alternating mini that I had in a sort of a mustard color, and then I did my 3x1. Then I did a heel flap and gusset construction in the back, which again, I end up increasing a couple stitches in the back, and instead of doing 16 rows of the heel flap, I do 18. That allows me a little bit more space between the heel and the instep because I have to do more decreases. So that helps me. And then I finished, and I just did the toe in the same color only because I forgot to bring the remainder of the mini to do the toes. So I was able to finish. Now these are much longer than these, if you'll notice the difference in the length. I have 31 grams left of this colorway, 20 of which I donated to one of my besties. And this one, I have about 20 grams left of, not even, I have about 15 grams, I'm sorry, about 15 grams left. So this one I had 31, this one I have about 15 grams left. This yarn actually had more than 100 grams. It was about 110. This one was bang on, but this one was about 110. So it took a lot of yarn, but I wanted to make these socks to be boot socks. My boots come to about here. So at least some of my sock, I can scrunch it down a little bit, and some of my sock sits outside of my boot. This one is my preferred length for just an everyday kind of sock where I'm not wearing boots. But there you go. My 2 socks, love them. So that's finished object 3 and 4. Yay! That's my finished objects. Very happy about that. So now we're going to talk about my remaining widths. Okay,